Is recording. All right, so okay. Let's see here. Welcome, everybody. It's October 19th. It's 9:05, and we're starting the meeting, or around 9:05. All right. In attendance here is me, Howard Kinder, Dave Green online, Art Keen, Dave Green and Art Keen online. Catherine just showed up, Catherine Hilton. Howard, Walter is here. And for guests, we have Tracy McNaughton, Tom Seifer, Jen Wallace. And I think that's the cast of characters. Did I miss anybody? John, I forgot John. That's right. John Kinder's right next to me, hiding in plain sight. All right. And so we have our quorum. And if somebody else comes online or comes in the door, then we'll just let them into the meeting. Quick review of the agenda is we're going to have our period of public comment. We're going to review the minutes from our September meeting. We didn't have one in, this is an August meeting. Well, we didn't have a meeting in September. We're going to go over Jen Wallace is going to cover, give us an update on what the task force on stormwater runoff is working on. I'll cover an update on the dam activities. And we're going to talk about the FERCog watershed-based plan, and just the E. coli data update, and then of course any items we didn't anticipate. Does that make sense to anybody? To everybody, or anybody? Yep. All right. Excellent. And so let's we have another member just showed up. John Gorey. All right. So we have any public comments? We had this. Yeah. Tracy's getting on. Oh, Tracy, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I just wanted to make a correction to the agenda item about the Stormwater Erosion Task Force. You just have the name wrong. It's called the Lake Wyola Stormwater Erosion Task Force, not funding aspect of it. That's something we're going to be doing, but it's not the whole thing.
Okay, thank you.
Is the towel not working? All the sound seems to be coming out of your laptop.
Oh, it's interesting. Okay.
So I was wondering why it was having a hard time.
So we do have some technical glitches here.
You know, that's supposed to be on one of those yoga. It might not be transmitting properly. It might not be on. Is that the on off over there by your index finger? No. Go around.
Some lights just went on.
Yep. Let's see here. I can. That's power supply. It's UPS. Everything seems to be plugged in.
Did it poop when it plugged in?
I think it did.
Huh.
I'm gonna unplug it, and then we're gonna keep going on here. See what happens. Do I have power supply? This guy on?
So the eyes are.
Yeah.
We can hear you just fine, Mark.
Okay. We're gonna turn my volume up. Well, we'll see if it switches over.
Say something out there in TV land, somebody.
We can hear you just fine. I heard Tracy's question.
It's working now.
It's good.
Thanks.
All right, good. Thank you. All right, so so I got Tracy's comment about the title. I'll correct that in the minutes. Any other public comments? I did get some feedback about the nature of public comment and that, I think what we want to kind of lean towards these days is instead of having, wide open discussions that we appreciate public comment, but we'd like to get it in writing and you guys can, and guests can send it after the meeting and, or anytime, and then we'll add it to the agenda and formally discuss your comments at the next meeting. Since we're still in public comment period, Tracy? Yeah, you have a comment?
Yeah, I do, because the number one item on the description of LWAC now, which isn't up on the website yet, but was voted on in 2017, is that you are a liaison between the lake community and the town. So if we're not allowed to really participate in these meetings, I don't really quite understand how that works. So could you?
So I think the issue is, it's not that people can't participate, they just like to have things in writing, and then so we can think it through and understand it. So it's okay, we encourage public comment, but we're thinking in terms of having it in written form, like other committees do. It's like the select board meeting isn't a wide open discussion, I guess I'm open to comments from committee members on this.
And I just
Yeah,
want to point out that the select board isn't a liaison between a certain segment of the community and the town. I mean, I have an issue with that, period, because we shouldn't have any kind of barrier between us and the town. But that's what, you've voted on and decided to approve, even though I brought up a complaint about that. But I just think that if this is the case, that you are a liaison, this should be a forum for us to come and discuss things. And I guess I would also just, if you're going to do it in writing, how can we be sure that you are going to address the things that people have sent in? Because we wouldn't necessarily be able to know if you're cutting things out or picking and choosing what you follow.
I think you'd know because you'll be attending the next meeting and it'll be on the agenda and you'll know exactly what it is. And then we'll call you out, I'll call on you and you'll be able to speak.
I think one of the reasons, the purposes of this is, first it was brought up in public comment, and what had happened was that someone had reached out to the chair and I did not hear that person. So I was objected to that person speaking. But if someone reaches out to the chair and says, the chair can at that point choose to acknowledge or not. The reason for the purpose of this is that the meetings are supposed to be an hour, and keeping them structured is very important to keeping them in a time frame. And the public is welcome to join in and listen. And if they have a really urgent comment, the chair can acknowledge that if he chooses. But afterwards, simply just submit a question in writing to the group and we'll address it. And, as far as the language of liaison, I think that's nitpicking the charter. We're a town committee. Every committee that I serve on operates in this manner, and it's consistent with the way the rest of the committees work. I just think for keeping everything in order and keeping the meeting in a timely fashion, I know a bunch of us on these committees always generally have something else going on behind it. And so for us to get to our next meetings, it's important to keep these on track. And so it's not about keeping people out.
Then what I would ask is that, Mark, you open up your email, because I know that you can choose, and I know it isn't set up this way. Most of the committees in town have any correspondence coming to, let's say, Conservation Commission or the Select Board. It goes to everybody on the board rather than just the chair. And I just would appreciate that be what's done so that everybody on LWAC is getting the emails from the lake community.
I don't know the answer to this, so this is a legitimate question. If someone sends And then this is for the committee members, I guess. If someone sends, an email to the Lake Wyola at Shutesbury.org or lback@shutesbury.org, does everybody get a copy of it? Or does anybody get a copy?
No,
No, because
No.
it automatically forwarded, it just goes to that one email.
Is there a way that we can automatically forward things?
Grace
no, I
can
don't
set
think-
that up for you.
Or you can simply send it out to the membership, which is fine, as long as we don't discuss it online, basically.
Right.
it
That's
only
right.
goes-
We can't talk about it online.
Right, it just goes
Exactly.
one way. Receive it.
But
We can-
Grace can set that up for you. That's a feature of their system. And
Okay.
the chair just has to request it.
I'll talk to Grace about that. That's a good idea.
And the positive thing about putting it on the agenda for the next week is that then it is identified and opened up the discussion too. Whereas if it just comes out as a comment, it doesn't always get discussed on because of course there is an agenda that you have to follow and all that, whereas that comment comes out, especially if it's in writing, it gets put onto the agenda properly, and then it is, or can't be discussed at that point. So there is a positive to that.
Right, and it doesn't have to happen at a meeting. Tracy doesn't have to come today and say, I want to be on the agenda next time. She can send you an email and ask to be put on the agenda, and you can, it's at your discretion whether to do that or not.
All right, so how about this? I'll talk to Grace about setting up a distribution list. And then we'll forward it, and I'll just, if we can, and Tracy seems to think we can, we'll forward everything that goes to that, to the whole group, so we have a chance to discuss it and think about it, and then it'll be on the agenda item for next week.
Okay.
Or next meeting.
Thank
Jen,
Hi, so I have interacted with various town committees in this public comment period, and our own task force has this as an option, which is public comment. I've always understood it to be a request to be put on an agenda. I think that sometimes this comes up spontaneously in a meeting, right? I might not enter LWAC meeting knowing I want to put in a request to be on an agenda. But in witnessing the meeting, I feel like, okay, yeah, I'd like to talk about this at greater length. So I don't see personally any trouble with raising my hand and saying, would you please put this on a future agenda, and then following that up in writing. What I've heard is two different things. One is we'll put it on the agenda, and the other is it's up to your discretion to whether or not we put it on the agenda. And if the committee wants to maintain this discretion feature, then it doesn't, in the interest of time or any other interest, then it doesn't really allow for this open public comment period that seems democratic. So another option might be to say, okay, we are going to use our discretion because we want to keep our meetings at an hour long. But then at some point, I don't know if it's every month or every 2 months, you just have an open public meeting and give people a chance to comment, ask questions, and not have it be, sort of managed as far as what kind of questions get asked and when. So I don't know. I mean, this is my first reaction to this, is that the discretion part is like, oh, well, then I might ask for it to be on, but it might never go on. And how will I get to be able to comment or ask my question? Thank you.
We've never not discussed something that someone's wanted to discuss. We've never pulled it off it's never been an issue. We're a very open committee here. We're very easygoing, and we certainly don't want to, we want to give everybody a chance to, to be heard and participate. I think what we're
I just
asking-
heard a committee member say, though, that it would be up to our discretion. So that's why I brought that up.
No, well, technically it is. Realistically, we're pretty open about things.
That's been my experience.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna talk to Grace about setting up a mail distribution list, and I'll put everybody else on it. And so if something goes to LVAC, everyone get a copy of it. All right? Any other public comments? Okay, good. So let's go to, item 4, review of the minutes from the August meeting. Did anyone just see anything wrong or any changes that need to be made?
It looked good to me.
Was I actually at that meeting? I know that I skipped a meeting and we didn't have a meeting last time. My name is on here, but I'm not sure I was here.
They could have been, they could have, like, cut and paste there.
Yeah.
So let's assume you weren't here.
Okay.
Okay, I'll click down the final vote.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes, Mark.
As amended,
Yeah, so as amended, of course.
As amended. Thank you.
And, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And so we'll vote on it. Howard? Walter?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes,
John?
Yes.
Dave?
Dave, yes.
All right, Art?
Yes,
And Mark is a yes. Okay, so the minutes are, as amended, will be sent off to Grace and put onto the website. All right, thank you. The next item is just a kind of an update on the task force I forgot the exact wording here, but so Jen's basically going to give us an update on what that group is doing.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the invitation to do this. The official name is Lake Wyola Stormwater Erosion Task Force. We should come up with a fancy initial thing for that. So our charge from the select board was to look at all the existing reports going back to, I guess, 2007, the stormwater report, and to survey existing conditions in comparison with some of those reports. We're using the FERCog report as our jumping off point. I mean, that is the most up-to-date and the most comprehensive. And they do make some generalized recommendations there. We're also following the structure of their recommendations, which I'll get to in just a minute. So we've had about 3 meetings. We do have a vacancy on our committee. So if someone knows of someone who is interested in this issue, it would be great. They'd have to get, authorized by the select board and all of that, but we really are looking for another member. So what our plan is to look at what because this is integrating town-owned property and Lake Wyola owned property and privately owned property by homeowners or property owners anyway. We are looking at total systems, we're not looking at Lake Wyola roads, we're not looking at town roads in isolation. So we're calling that drainage systems. And using the FERCog report and our own site visits, we are beginning to identify what would be like the primary drainage systems that are needing attention, either because they're currently not functioning well, they're not functioning at all, or they've never even been identified as a system that impacts the lake. And we're doing that now. So we've had 2 site visits. We're having 2 more in a week or 2. And soon our evaluation of conditions and these drainage systems will be complete. And then we're moving into what kind of interventions would help to reduce the flow of sediment and water into the lake. The FERCog report had 3 types of recommendations. One was what they call best management practices, which were, I'll call them structural interventions, also maintenance interventions, and educational interventions. And we're using those 3 FERCog identified components as the core of what we're going to be recommending to the select board. That was our charge to do this, make recommendations, and also identify potential funding sources. So So I want to emphasize that we're not strictly like, we're not just looking at gravel roads, we're not just looking at, town-owned paved roads with poor drainage. We're looking at the whole, trying to get a whole comprehensive look. We have a core of funding possibilities that were identified by FERCog. I don't know if that's exhaustive, and I don't know how applicable they'll be to the 3 kinds of things that we're going to be recommending, but that will be part of what we're doing. Lastly, we'll be identifying who we would perceive to be the responsible parties for the implementing these recommendations. Then we give reports of our final sort of, or draft final findings to LWAC and to CONCOM and to the Lake Wyola Association, get their feedback and wrap the whole thing up with a set of recommendations to the select board. So that's the plan. And like I said, right now, we're just probably by the end of November, we will have wrapped up these site visits of the evaluation of current conditions in these primary drainage systems. So that's the short story. And I'm happy for any questions anyone has. I mean, Mark posed a question to me when the FERCog report came out about how is this going to manifest? What is the lead organization in this? And I don't know the answer, but that is something probably for the task force and LWAC to explore a little bit. Thanks.
This is Mark here. My motivation behind that question is that I'm hoping that we can make progress on these issues. We got the report. Now I still want this to put on a shelf. I want it to move ahead, and so I don't know what the best organization is, whether it's what group should drive it, but I'm going to do my best to make sure somebody drives it. I do have a question for you, Jen, on FERCog. I understood that they were offered to come to your group or to a group and make a presentation on funding options and how to get funding. Is that still in the works?
Yeah, yes. Now, it wasn't defined narrowly just as funding. It was conceived as, let's get their feedback on the kinds of things we're looking at in relation to their report. So, I mean, it might be that we're looking in the wrong place, for example. I don't think that's going to be the case because they've outlined the places pretty well. But yes, it's on the table. They originally suggested let's have a meeting in the fall and a follow-up meeting in the spring. But now with the change in personnel at Town Hall, they're wishing for a new town administrator to be in place before the meeting occurs. So they're open to it, and it wants to be focused. We want, and this would be something that our 2 groups can kind of interact on, as attending these together or focusing our questions together so that we're getting their feedback in the way that we think it would be most helpful to us. So yeah, I guess we have to wait for some personnel things to change, maybe the interim person, or that's what I would hope, because otherwise we're pushing this way down the line. But that component of it is a new development.
Other questions or comments?
Well, I have one. Based on the way I outlined this, I mean, Mark, are you feeling comfortable that it's not sitting on a shelf? I mean, I know you've been working on this for years and years, so are you feeling like the direction, and anybody on LWAC, that the direction we're heading in gives you some thought like, okay, well, yeah, this isn't sitting. I mean, it could sit on the shelf after we get our recommendations to the select board, and whatever town meeting would have to be involved in voting stuff in. But as far as trying to get something going for an implementation, rather than just reading a report, that's really important to me too. And I want to hope that you'd be comfortable with how this all sounds.
I'm comfortable with it, that it's moving along right now. They just issued the report. I don't know when it was. I sent the note out to get my monthly update from them, and I was expecting it just to say no progress, but they came back and said it's all done. And so, I don't even know who they actually sent it to, so I sent it off to Becky and to Concom and to pretty much everybody, so we'd have a copy of it, so just to distribute it. But it's, I think we're ready to start moving, and I think you're doing a great job of using that as a template.
Running, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, I said you did a good job picking up the ball and running with it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, we're aiming at it. We're trying. So yeah, any other questions from you all? Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me, and I hope that we'll continue to, I mean, Mark's been attending some of our meetings, and, we'll just keep working on this together.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jen.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda, item 6 is dam activities, and I can give you an update on that. There's kind of three areas three things that are going on right now. One is that we're trying to, or GZA has a draft letter that they wrote up that they're going to send to Mass Waterways to get an exemption to the Chapter 91 licensing requirements. They drafted a letter and they sent it off to Becky, and waiting for the town to approve it, and then they'll send it off to Mass Waterways. The advantage here is, or the premise is that the dam's been in place since before 1984, which is when I forgot the big governmental waterway regulations was implemented. And we've been doing a drawdown since before 1984. So since all this stuff has been going on for years and years and years, we should be exempt from going through the process and the expensive process of getting Chapter 91 licensing approval. So I'm assuming it's going to go to the select board for discussion. Right now, Becky has a copy of the draft letter, and with their approval, we'll see what happens. But it would save a lot of money and a lot of time if we get the exemption. The other area that is GZA is working on is getting an approval from Concom to add an extension to the existing orders of conditions, allowing the drawdown in the fall. And Concom has said that they're agreeable to it, but they haven't voted on it yet. It's not official yet. And I think GZA was just hoping a clarification on the Chapter 91 licensing requirements first. But that's all ongoing. The third area is that their engineering group is working on cost estimates for the repairs, and so developing a scope and a cost estimate to do the repairs / maintenance of the dam. We're hoping that they'll have that time to get into the next year's budget. And I guess I'm not sure what the deadline is. Does anyone know?
They're just starting the budget process.
So
here now.
So salary for FY25, they're just starting the process now. Right, so we probably have some time. Right, so that's got to go through the process of getting the budget money. So first they're going to define it, and then we're going to define requirements and the cost estimates, and then we're going to go, they're going to write the scope up. And we're going to find a contractor to do the work.
Mark, I'm a little concerned about some of the timing that you just described. We're waiting for a ruling on whether or not we have to comply with this Chapter 91 before we can get Concom to vote on the drawdown. And the drawdown, if we're going to have one, should have already started, right?
No, 1st of November,
1st of November. Oh,
but it's closed.
Well,
yeah, it's coming up.
The existing orders of conditions is in effect until
We're over that.
we're still in good shape. We can still lower the lake.
Oh, great.
We're just trying. I don't think we can raise it back up. So there is some time involved.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Great.
And so I don't think there's going to be a big issue here.
Yeah.
Okay.
One minor thing on the maintenance, building committee did come down and put a metal roof on the gate shed. So now it doesn't leak from that.
That's excellent.
Did a nice job too.
And so now the gatehouse is.
The water should be on the outside.
Yeah, it's good for a metal roof, it's good for 50 years.
Yeah,
So I mean, that it.
nice color, it was great.
Any questions on dam activities? Okay, good. You know, you're basically outsourcing a lot of stuff that we used to do. And so it's really been the job, it's just keeping everybody going here. With Becky's leaving, I'm not sure how that affects things. And so I think there's going to be some delays here, but hopefully there won't be anything significant. The last item, or the next item on the agenda is item 7, which is the FERCog watershed-based plan. We kind of already talked about that. You know, I would encourage everyone, is just to kind of review it. You know, to just take a look at it and say, does this all make sense? Did they miss
I
anything?
actually opened it up this morning and there was 37 pages.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna print that out now.
So it's you know, let's you know, I'll look at it a little in more detail for our next meeting, and we'll see what we, you know, we'll have put together your thoughts and your ideas on, you know, next steps. Any questions on the FERCog watershed plan? Jen, you had your hand raised, and so go ahead, we got time.
Hold on, let me now lower. Okay, so here's, this is about our coordinating work, right? So for instance, if LWAC is going to put their thoughts together about next steps, how does that interact with what we're doing as far as dealing with looking at that FERCog report and interacting with our next steps? I mean, how can we step together?
I'm totally comfortable with your approval to, you know, provide a report of anything that we've come up with to your group.
So-
you're not saying no on these things.
So if I will attend that meeting where you talk about your next steps, and then we'll look at how that interacts with our next steps. Is that what you're saying? Sounds like a good interaction?
Yeah, my instinct says that you're gonna be taking the lead, and you volunteered to take the lead in most of this stuff, and I think we're gonna probably defer to you guys. We're not gonna try and do an end around. We're gonna let, you know, we're not gonna be inefficient here. We're gonna let you guys take it, but we may have some ideas.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah. So please, if I'm not always checking the town calendar. So when you know for sure that you're going to have the LWAC meeting as you have before, just let me know that and I will make sure I attend that meeting where you all are discussing the report.
Sounds good.
Okay,
And
great.
And,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Mark, so should we have a consensus that we're all gonna have it read by a certain period of time,
Oh, yeah, I think that's an awesome idea, Dave.
right? So we
yeah,
should
let-
commit to at least the next meeting that we've all read the report.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Is everyone agree to that?
Yes.
We're gonna keep it moving.
And if you need copies of it, I can email you another copy of it, and, so let's just set that as a goal, as a target, to everyone have read it. And a lot of the end pages, you know, it's really not as long as you think it is. There's a lot of pages, but a lot of it's just background stuff.
Some of it is interesting, though, you know, quickly scan some of the background stuff where it was the back and forth, where they put something, there was a comment made back, how they corrected it and all that, so it's kind of interesting to see how the whole thing progressed with feedback from
Yeah.
you and all
Tracy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm on the task force, so this is related to this. It's not a public comment. I know that sometimes two committees will do like joint meetings when they have overlapping things that they're working on. So I'm putting that out there as a point of discussion for both our task force and for you all. to perhaps we have joint meetings when there's going to be discussion about things moving forward, so you can get everybody's input.
Okay, thank you, it's a good idea. Thank you. Any other comments? Or everyone's got homework to do, which is good. Right, any more comments about the FERC report? Good, item on next item on the agenda is E. coli data, and just basically we have, E. coli testing is done for the year. We had a very good year, no reads over the limits. The State Beach still has their issues, but there's a way, at least there's a site that where they publicize it now. And you know, I think part of the problem is the way they're calculating their data, their openings and closings. And I guess it's my understanding that if they get a high reading, you know, let's say after a rainstorm, they have to get 2 good readings or 2 more weeks, I guess, before they can open the thing up. And so,
You know, when they retest as soon as they get the bad report, and
Okay.
then they have this, and this is mathematically beyond me, but the stakes start going up. There's some kind of geometric mean that has to be reached, and so it has to be even cleaner than it had to be the previous week.
Before they close.
Yeah,
I know I appreciate that website, because I get calls every once in a while saying, is the beach clean up to swimming? And, you know, I'm very hesitant to say yes or no, that's all, but so now I refer people to that website, and, I think I should say it was Tom who, was it Tom who said they were, yeah, so I would appreciate that, so it works, it gets me off the hook. Then they can make their own determination whether it's safe or not. But they're right, it is the calculations are a bit unusual.
I wonder if we could put, for next year, we could put a link to that website on the homepage of the town website. We could ask Grace to do that. And that way, if people are looking for that and they happen to go to the town website, they would see that.
I think that's the excellent idea. We'll put that into the minutes, and we'll probably get that done for, get set up for next year. You know, next year we'll see that set up for the,
Right.
it's a big change. Okay, any more about E. coli testing for data? Any other items that we didn't add to the agenda that we think we should?
This isn't really another item, but maybe you and I and possibly Grace should talk about, there's some other online tools that we can use for communication and dissemination of information. There's this, you go on it, right, on the posting website, because you post these meetings. Somewhere on that is a way that people can get on a notification list. So anytime any change is made to the agenda, or any agenda is posted, they can be informed.
Yeah.
And there's also a way of uploading documents to that page, so that are, you know, relevant to the meeting, not just the minutes, but other documents that you have. So the watershed based plan could go up on it, and any other things that you want to post that would make it perhaps easier for people to get onto.
Okay, it's
But
The notification thing is good. You can just sign up and say, I want to be notified when this board meets, when this board meets, when this board meets. And as soon as they post the agenda, it's almost instantaneous when you get a email.
how about for the minutes, I will also just describe the process of getting your name on that distribution list. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And, okay.
Right,
I know I
can't
said,
remember how that's done. I don't know.
I don't know if you,
I was looking around on that website trying to find it, and I couldn't.
I'm not sure
Get
if it's
it
on
back,
the
but we
town
can-
website to sign up for it, or if it's on that My Town Government website.
We'll ask Grace.
Because
okay.
I have it done for, you know, certain meetings.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll add, I'll document that for a process. I'll figure it out. We can talk to Grace. We'll figure out how to get your names on this. and that distribution list.
Mhm.
Anything else? Anything else we missed?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All right, all in favor? Vote.
Aye.
Okay, so it's 9:45
a new record.
and we're done. Thank you very much. So our next meeting is next November.
Yep.
Um,
Everyone do their homework.
Yep.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care, everyone. Thank you, John.
Will they start voting with it? And
They start voting at noon. I think.
Early voting starts today.
So I'm gonna close the meeting here somehow.